Hey everybody, it's your girl Mo from My Urban Knits, and in this video I'm going to be talking about supplies and things that you want to get to start off your knitting journey. Um, so first of all, you're going to need to buy some yarn. Now as a beginner, you just buy, a cheap yarn. Don't buy anything too expensive or anything like that because you're going to be practicing with this yarn. And the funny thing about yarn is once you start working with it, if you make a mistake and loose it out, which I will show that technique and show how you can do that, it doesn't knit as beautifully as if it's fresh yarn. So you don't want to buy something expensive like you go into the store and I'm telling you, when you get into that section and you see all the colors and you see all the different types of yarn and different fabrics of yarn, you're going to be sitting there wondering what kind of yarn. Just get the cheapest one that's there. Go to a bargain bin if you're like going to a craft shop, or just pick the cheapest yarn that you possibly could get. I actually have a really nice yarn here. It's Debbie Bliss Cashmerino Aran, and it's a really nice. It feels really good. But I'm not going to use this yarn. I just wanted to show you this is how yarn comes. They come in different, skeins. They call them skeins. Different ways. Sometimes they're long like this, or this one is round shaped. So they're different shapes of yarn. Another thing that might be, they're a very well-known company, Boy. Most of my knitting needles are from this company, and as you can see, I have circular needles here, which is very good for like hats and blankets and things that's gonna have a lot of rows and a lot of stitches. So you can wrap it around and then just work in the round. So that works good. So as you can see, that's the brand again, Boy. Circular needles. They have the regular needles. These are 6-inch needles, and these are the needles that you want to get. You want to get size 6 needles. This is the average size to start with as a beginner. Most of the yarn will do well with this size. So you're gonna need knitting needles. Okay, straight knitting needles for a beginner for right now. Circular needles, we'll get to that when we're doing projects and when you're feeling more comfortable with knitting. So start with the straight size 6 knitting needles. You also want to get this for future projects. You're getting the knitting accessory set, and I actually got this from Walmart. You can also go to AC Moore or Michael's or any knitting shop near you. Ask around, or just research on the internet. Google is great. I mean, just look up knitting shops in your area or where to buy yarn, and you'll find something. So in it, there's the point protector. Like say you're knitting, and I have small children, and you need to stop and do whatever you're doing in the middle of a row. You take one of these blue pieces and you just stuff them on the ends. It protects your work from coming off, and so that's a very nice thing to have. These are your knit tally set, so like if you're working on a project and you don't want to forget how many rows you've done or how many stitches you've done, because sometimes you have to change the type of stitch you're doing after a certain number of stitches. You don't want to forget what you're doing, so you have these knit tally counts. These are the jumbo stitch markers, and this is like some projects patterns they're gonna call for these items. And this here is a stitch holder. So like say you're working on, let's say, a sweater or something, and you need to hold a certain section of that row, but continue working in the next row. Continue working on this side of the project. It's kind of hard to explain right now, but when we get into those projects, you'll see what I'm talking about. You put these stitch holders in to hold it until you're ready to get to that part of the fabric, that part of the project. So again, it's Boy Knitting Accessory Set. In addition to this, we did mention the circular needles. They are bamboo, and they have these kind of circular needles, but it's just a preference, what you prefer to work with. Some people are eco-friendly. They want to use something that's, natural, so you can go with something like this. And that's those. And Plymouth Yarn Company, I got some more bamboo needles, different sizes, 3 and 2. These are like good for socks or small pieces of yarn, small yarn that's really thin. So the chunkier the yarn, the bigger the knitting needle is gonna be. So like when I'm doing scarves, I usually use these, and these are size 11s. So that's just an example. And the knitting needles come in different lengths. So, if you know you're going to be doing a lot of stitches, you work with these. If you know you're going to be doing shorter stitches or cast-ons, you can get a shorter knitting needle. I just want to show you one more thing. Let me put that away. I have a bag of stuff here. I'm working on things. Another thing you may want to get, and I'm just going to take one out so you can see, are yarn needles. And what you need these for is when you're finishing a project and say you're doing a hat and you got to sew the seams together or sew the stitches together. Again, you see that company name here, Boy. Yeah, 4 pieces, and I have many of these. Funny thing about them, you're probably buying a lot of these because I don't know. Sometimes these things get lost someplace. Either I don't know where I put them, or I put them down for a second. You might be buying these often, or just try to keep them in a safe place because they're easy to lose. That's the point I'm trying to make with that. And there is one more thing. Just bear with me. Let me just bring my bag up here. You're going to need a tape measure. Definitely, you're gonna need a tape measure. Okay, so this is a tape measure I have. Also, always have a pen with you because you might want to write down something. So have a pen with you. I'm sorry I'm not looking at you guys. I'm looking for something in here, but not finding it at the moment. Let me see if it's in this bag here. You may or may not want to get crochet hooks, but sometimes crochet hooks are good to use, like if you make a mistake and you want to fix it, or also if you want to do like flowers or something, like if you're doing a hat or a blanket and you want to do flowers. This company name is Right. Boy. Yes, Boy. See, Boy, the crochet hook too. Excuse me for that. So you might want to get these. And the cute thing about this pack that I got is it has these foldable scissors, and I need to show you this because it's really neat. I mean, I really like this, and it's so easy to travel with. So when I'm traveling and say I'm knitting or something on the train, or I'm at my mom's house, this is the scissors. So when you have to cut your yarn, it just folds. It just folds and it works. And you just cut, I'll just give you, an example, because this is a little frayed anyway. And so you're done with your project and you want to cut it, and you have everything, and that's it. Done and done. So, and what's neat about it is it's nice and small, so you don't feel like you're walking around a big, clunky, scissors as you're traveling while you're knitting. So, and then you just fold it right back, and of course it wants to open while I'm folding it. But and then you put it right back in here. This is a very nice accessory here. So you might want to get one of these so you don't have to walk around with a big clunky scissors, or get yourself a small scissors if you feel more comfortable with a sturdier scissors. And those are the basic knitting supplies that you will need. Oh, and how could I forget? You're going to need a bag. Here I have a Whole Foods recyclable bag. I'm originally from New York City, but I'm now living in PA, so I still have this bag. But you're gonna need a bag, and when you're in the knitting shop, they're going to have all of this there. Believe you me, you're going to have to pick and choose what you want to buy, because once you get in there, my husband will tell you, I could spend time in that knitting store. So you're gonna have to make sure that you go in there with the list. And if you're on a budget, make sure you go in there and say, I'm only gonna get the basics. So for if my first project that we're gonna do, or first techniques that we're gonna do together, all you really need is a size 6 needle, straight needle, and 1 yarn of your choice. But make sure that it's workable for a 6 a size 6 needle. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you get a yarn, it usually has on there what needle size is good for it. So here, this one says, right here, it says, you see the X? That's usually for knitting needles here. That's what that means, knitting needles, but usually. It is for knitting needles. And it says 5 milliliter, 5 millimeter, I'm saying milliliter. You see the double M there, I'm saying milliliter. US 8. So that would mean that you would need a size 8 knitting needles to work with this yarn. That's the best size for this yarn. Now sometimes you may want to work with a smaller needle because you're trying to get a tighter gauge, and you may want to work with a larger needle because you're trying to get a looser gauge. So it's all just about the preference, but based on the gauge for this, the best size to use for this would be a size 8. And that's just an example. So make sure when you're buying your yarn that it's either size 6 or a 7 or something like that, because if it's a size 7, you can still use your 6. Okay? And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, or you're going to the knitting shop and you're running into a problem, or you just don't know if you're getting the right thing, please feel free to email me, and I'll definitely get back to you on exactly what it is. I'll also do a list of some of the things that I have below this video, so that the names are there, so you can actually print that out and take it to the store with you. Okay? So I'll see you in the next video.